Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Let's Talk the Wellness Tea with Dr. Chalice. My name is Dr. Chalice Rhodes. I am a licensed professional counselor of 12 years, a national certified counselor, a board certified telemental health counselor. Listen, I was a professor in higher education for 12 years, teaching behavioral health counseling, marriage and family therapy, psychology courses. All right, so that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my channel. For those of you who don't know, I am all about health and wellness. I take a holistic perspective, right? I have my own private practice. You can visit my website at www.drChalice.com for more information. My entire professional career is on my website. I post great resources on my blog. There's also resource links to different websites and organizations that can help you with something that you may be going through. So, listen, like I said earlier, I am all about health and wellness and wholeness. One of the things that we really need to make sure we pay attention to, because we're all so busy, we're all stretching ourselves thin, we're running here, we're running there. But what about our self care? Do we think about caring for ourselves, or is it when we get burned out? Once we get burned out, all of a sudden we're like, oh, we just can't take it anymore, right? But what I want to help us all do is to be conscious of how we're caring for ourselves. So we hear the term self care. What exactly does self care mean? Right? So, what do you think of when you think of self care? What does that mean to you? And if you're watching live, type in the chat box, let me know what you think. Even if it's not live and you're watching a replay of this, that's great too. I want you to sit there and think about, what is self care to you? So many times when we think of self care, we think of bubble baths, exercise, manis, petties, right? Massages, facials. And if we think about an iceberg in the ocean, that is the very tip of the iceberg, right? That's what we can see at the surface level, right? We can see manicures, we can see pedicures, we can see facials, right? You know, our skin might reveal that we take great care of it and maybe we're giving ourselves bubble baths, right? But we want to delve deeper. I want to take you guys deeper into this topic of self care. And what we're going to specifically focus on this morning is self compassion. Self compassion. All right, what does self compassion mean? So, listen, earlier I was talking about the tip of the iceberg and us doing things that makes ourselves feel better, which is awesome. We want to continue to do those things. So, I referenced facials earlier, right? So, let's take a look at this facial analogy. You know, you may want to go to see an esthetician, go to the spa for a facial because you're thinking, oh my God, my skin needs improvement. I want to go get a facial. And you're imagining, oh, my skin is going to look beautiful. You get to the salon, the spa, the esthetician is explaining how she's going to exfoliate the dead surface skin cells, right? To reveal your beautiful skin. And you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go out of here. My skin is going to be glowing. And sure enough, you get your facial, you know, you're there for 30 minutes to an hour. Oh my God, you look in a mirror, your skin is glowing. It's beautiful. But what you don't anticipate is that just a few days after that exfoliation process, your skin is going to break out and it might actually look worse before it gets better. And this is what happens when we experience problems in life, right? That we all experience. Nobody's life is perfect, right? So, what we want to do, just like the esthetician exfoliates those dead skin cells, it's that superficial layer. We want to delve below the superficial layer of just that flashy term self care, and we want to delve deeper into self compassion. So, we're going to need to open our perspective. We're going to need to be vulnerable. We're going to need to make ourselves aware of how compassionate are we really with ourselves. Think about a friend that you recently had a conversation with and they talked to you about a problem they were having. think about the compassion that you extended to that friend. Just think of the love, the care, the thoughtfulness, the advice you were given to that friend. Now, when you go through your own troubles, which we all go through, do you extend that same self compassion to yourself? Or do you tend to be hard on yourself? Dr. Kristen Neff, she talks about self compassion and she talks about it. She's a researcher and she's researched this concept. And actually, in a chat box, I actually placed the link to her self compassion test. And I want you guys to visit that link because I want you all to really have an awareness of really how compassionate you are with yourself. So you're going to click on that link in the chat box when our discussion is done. And you are going to take it. I think it's about 25 to 26 questions. And you're going to find out just how self-compassionate you are with yourself. So think of a problem, that you're currently going through or that you've been through recently. I want you to think, how judgmental and harsh and critical were you with yourself? Were you kind to yourself in that situation? I'm thinking of a recent situation, just within the last few years where I was so hard on myself for a choice that I made. And we all do this. We make these choices, we get ourselves into these situations. Maybe the outcome is positive at first and then it turns negative. Maybe it's all bad from the start. But a lot of times it's very common for people to beat themselves up about choices they made. And I know that I recently did it. And why be so hard and so critical on yourself? None of us are perfect. We're vulnerable. We take a leap of faith. We make a choice, and maybe the choice doesn't work out like we want it to work out, right? But that doesn't mean we beat ourselves up. We need to be more kind to ourselves. And Dr. Kristen Neff talks about this, about having self-kindness, right? That same self-kindness you would extend to that friend who is telling you about a problem. Now, another thing that we can fall into when we're talking about self-compassion is when we're going through things, and we all go through things, we can fall into this self-pity state, right? And self-pity is passive, right? It just kind of keeps you stuck, just feeling bad for yourself. But self-compassion allows us to take a more active approach, right? Because we are going to realize that, you know what? I'm not the first person to experience this. I'm not the first person to make a bad choice. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like everybody goes through this. And maybe your particular circumstance, there's someone else that has gone through it. There's someone else who has got through it. They push through. So we want to remember when we fall into those times of just feeling, so bad. Oh my God, why me? Why is this happening to me? Oh, this always happens to me. What we want to do is remember that we are not alone. We are not the only ones. There are other people who are going through the same thing you're going through right now. Other people who have gone through it and they've persevered and they got through it. They came out on the other side and things are so much better. So another point that Dr. Neff talks about is being mindful. We need to be mindful and aware, right? Because if we're not mindful and aware that we are actually being very critical and very harsh on ourselves, then we won't even realize that we're not being self-compassionate. And so that's another reason why I would love for you guys to go to that chat box, click on the link at the end of our discussion. And I want you to take that quiz. It's about 25 or 26 questions. And it's going to tell you just where you are on that range of being self-compassionate. And you could use your score to see where you're at. Right? So maybe you're right where you need to be, or maybe you're not as compassionate with yourself, right? So maybe you might use that tool to better yourself, to improve on your self-compassion. So I see that we do have a few people joining us live. If you have any questions, any comments about what I'm talking about, feel free to share it in the chat box. So again, we're talking about self-compassion. And listen, for my women out there, I have an upcoming group, right? So my women support groups are called Hope. Good morning, Naima. Thank you for joining the discussion. I'm glad to see you. We're talking about self-compassion. Naima, as you can see in the chat box, I have a link to the self-compassion quiz, right? Where I really want you to test and others How self-compassionate are you? Right? Because we tend to be hard on ourselves. So, good morning. All right. So, for my women, hope, healing opportunities, providing edification support group. I'm starting another group on April 16th. The deadline to register is April 9th. I have 10 slots available. The slots are going quick. So head on over to my website, hit that contact button. Let me know that you want to register for the group. Or you can email me at dr.chalice@gmail.com and let me know you're interested. All right, we are going to meet over Zoom for 6 weeks. And ladies, we are going to take a deep dive into self-care, self-love, relationships, all the various things that impact us as women. We're going to take a deep dive into that each week for 6 weeks, right? For about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm thinking Friday nights from 6 to 7:15. Right. And so it is $25 per session or, oh, hi. Hi, Claudia. How are you? Thank you so much for joining. Naima says, good morning. Claudia says, sometimes we are too compassionate, right? Yeah, we're too compassionate with others, but not compassionate enough with ourselves. We need to take a look at that because that same compassion, Claudia, Dr. Claudia, that we extend to others, we need to learn how to extend that to ourselves. We need to cut ourselves a break. We need to stop being so harsh and so critical with ourselves. We need to be more kind with ourselves. We need to extend ourselves more grace. We need to extend ourselves more mercy. The same kindness, grace, and mercy that we extend to our loved ones when they come to us with a problem, that we extend to our coworkers when they come to us with a problem. How can we so easily extend that to others, but not to ourselves? None of us are perfect, right? We can't always make the right choice. We can't always beat ourselves up about it. And I hear Naima and Dr. Claudia are agreeing to this. And please feel free to add anything you want to add, any important points to the chat box. Like I said, in that chat box, I want you guys, after our discussion, to head on over to that link. And I want you to take that test, take that quiz, not a test. It's a quiz. Now, what I was saying earlier, in case you're just joining us, when you take this quiz, you need to be mindful. You need to have an open perspective. You have to make yourself vulnerable, right? When you take this quiz, and let me tell you, I took the quiz, I got my results. So I do not ask people to do anything that I'm not willing to do, right? So I took the quiz. And when you read these questions, you might, immediately, well, am I so bad? I need you to be honest. We got to be honest with ourselves, right? So you might want to answer, oh, I do this too much. I do this too little, maybe. And then you might have to stop and think, wait a minute, hold up. Let me try to think. Am I really this or am I really that? Let's really try to open our perspectives, be vulnerable so that we can get an accurate score. And then you can take that score, you can use it to see where you're at. Or what you can do is you can look at the score and say, oh, I'm right where I'm at. I need to improve in this area. I need to improve in that area. And we can take it from there. So thank you guys for joining. We're going to have these health and wellness tea talks, right? We're going to take an even deeper dive. And for my Georgia, Florida, and New Jersey residents, if you're interested in joining my Healing Opportunities Providing Education Women's Support Group, that's the Hope Women's Support Group, we will be beginning on April 16th. The deadline to register is April 9th. You can head on over to my website, DrChalice.com, and you can click on contact, let me know you're interested, or you can email me at dr.chalice@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested. For 6 weeks, we are going to take a deep dive into topics that deeply affect women: self-love, self-care, relationships, right? We are going to have a great time. I thank you guys for joining me on the first episode of Let's Talk the Wellness Tea. Also, feel free to comment in the chat box. Let me know what topics you might be interested in discussing, right? So that I can plan to have discussions on those. Thank you all so much. I hope you guys have a great day. And when we come back to our next discussion, I want you guys to have taken that quiz, right? Because we're going to delve deeper into this topic. You all have a great day. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, click on a notification bell so that you can be made aware of when episodes are coming up. Love you guys. Have a great day.